Hi, Leo. Welcome to your November 2018 Astro Update. It's Rena here. November is a special month as far as I'm concerned because there's a couple of transits that are going to impact our life for all of 2019 and then some when it comes to the North Node. I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to give an overview of some things that begin right when we start November, coming in from last month, namely that the sun is in Scorpio now. This is your fourth house of home and family. And so with the sun here, you may be feeling very emotional about your past. And you can be nostalgic. There may be something that you're specifically focusing on related to your mother or your family of origin or a property matter even. And at the same time, Mars is in Aquarius, which is your opposite sign, in the opposite house, the seventh house of committed partnership. Mars is the god of war. So for some people, they might be having some sort of conflict with their partner, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. There may be a lawsuit that you're dealing with. The seventh house can be legal matters, but it can be that you're getting some sexy time in with your partner because Mars can be the libido. And likewise, if for some reason you and a partner have not been able to schedule time for each other, do things together, this may be a time when you are getting more into that. And it can feel like the two of you are maybe getting closer because you're doing more things together. On the 6th, Uranus retrogrades back into Aries. So it has been in your 10th house when it entered Taurus back in mid-May, and now as it has been retrograding, it has gone back into this fellow fire sign, the 9th house. Now, for the past 7 years or so during that transit of Uranus in Aries, I'm wondering if some Leo people have traveled in a very kind of haphazard way for your work, perhaps. I mean, that's the main thing I could think of, where you get a call where you have to travel at a moment's notice, and it's not like a well-planned trip. And likewise, this can be a situation where some sort of unusual religious group is back in your life because I don't want to say like a cult. I think I read one time they were saying something about, be careful when you have Uranus in the 9th house of getting involved with cults. You may have heard that saying, a cult is any religion that isn't your own. So it could be that exaggerated, but Uranus can be something out of the box. And I would say even like something very psychic. So if you belong to some group and everybody is astral traveling or something, I don't know. But this is going to be going on for a few months. And so you're going to have to deal with that. On the 7th, this is one of those noteworthy transits, the North Node going into Cancer for the next year and a half. This is going to be in your 12th house, so isn't that interesting? I just mentioned the Uranus retrograde because the 12th house is a spiritual house. The transiting North Node can be your destiny, so you may come across somebody who is a guru or a healer, and it may seem totally random, Leo, but perhaps this person and you were meant to cross paths. And it's like kind of a symbol of a new phase in your life when you meet this person. And given that Uranus transit, this could be in an area that has to do with healing, for instance, and this may be a future endeavor of yours that you end up doing for other people. The North Node in the 12th house can also relate to issues surrounding things that perhaps you have repressed, your memory or memories, maybe of a trauma, maybe of something that you just could not handle at that time. And now is the time when it's going to come out and you're going to be able to process it and you're going to be able to integrate it into your story of what your life is about. Because the people that are able to transform anything bad that has happened to them into something that is actually working for them, these are the people that they really can take everything that comes their way and learn from them and even gain from them. Some people have made careers out of their own experiences that have been challenging. I think of Maya Angelou and her book, Now I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and that was autobiographical about her childhood and the things that she experienced. And some people might just shut off and they don't even want to deal with anything. And so they become very fractured. You have the opportunity with this 12th house transit to really become whole if that's your particular need. For other people, this may be the time that you begin to go on that spiritual path. Maybe you've devoted a lot of time in worldly pursuits and they have served you well and it's been a good thing overall. But now you're ready to explore other dimensions. I wouldn't even be surprised, too, if this could be like a soulmate situation and other types of people that come into your life that are karmic relationships. I mean, I really do believe that probably all of our important relationships are karmic relationships, but more coming in. I mean, the family is one example. But once we have that family, we don't really deal with new people that are important to us on a daily basis. We might meet our partner, our romantic partner, and maybe a very good friend. But this might be a time when you meet some other people that you have a history with. And this somehow heralds a new chapter in your life as well. The very next day, Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, and this is the 5th house of romance and creativity. And again, I just did, whose reading was it? Was it Pisces? And the North Node was going to be in their 5th house. Well, yours is, the North Node is in the 12th house, but you've got Jupiter in the 5th house. So that could be like even talking about soulmate, because Jupiter can bring luck and the 12th house can bring that timing of this, it's right now. This is the destiny for you at this phase in your journey. And Jupiter is also about expansion. So it's about having a lot of opportunities for meeting people. Also, the 5th house, this is a house you rule in the universal chart. So this is near and dear to your heart, what the 5th house represents. Creativity, children, wanting to, conceiving a child, maybe being able to finally conceive a child when you have tried so hard in the past. But, for artists, Jupiter in the 5th can even be being very prolific, but gaining financially from your work when perhaps before it has been difficult to do so, and even some kind of a stroke of luck about maybe getting your name out there. The fifth house is also about pleasure. So any fun times are multiplied when Jupiter's here. So it's a very good place for Jupiter to be. For a fire sign, especially because it forms a trine to you, and that's, if we want to rate angles, you could say that's the best angle. I've been messing this up because of the way I wrote it. The day before, when the North Node goes into Cancer, there's also a new moon in Scorpio. And again, this is the fourth house of home and family. So maybe a new home, signing for a new home, some kind of, buying a home or closing on a home, some new chapter, like a new realization about your childhood, having these ideas and then kind of coming to terms with them, seeing them in a different way, in a new light. On the 15th, Mars goes into Pisces, the 8th house. And again, in the 7th house, we're talking about partnership. In the 8th house, we're talking about intimacy. And people like to boil down the 8th house to sex, death, and other people's money. Well, with Mars in the 8th house, you could be talking about a fight for somebody's money, like an inheritance, a probate issue. I've been saying this in other videos because this is kind of what it could be, but for you, specifically. However, when talking about the sex angle, Mars is a sex drive, and the 8th house is a sex house, but it's a spiritual sex house. It's kind of like, at the very least, we could say it's tantric yoga, not just the recreational sex the house you rule, the 5th house, represents. So, sexual healing, some sort of, especially with a partner, maybe even with people who have been betrayed in their primary relationship by their partner and feeling like they can trust again. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. The next day on the 16th, Venus goes direct in Libra, 3rd house of communication. And with Venus in this house, this may be something connected to maybe even a sibling, and maybe harmony restored with a sibling. This can be an issue. Maybe they finally pay you. When Venus was retrograde, at least, maybe a sibling who owed you money pays you, and now you're not mad at them anymore. So maybe that's what it is. It could be a number of things, or maybe a rift with a neighbor is mended. Who knows? Perhaps some kind of renovation. I'm talking about like you had to bring somebody back because they missed a spot. They were painting and they missed a spot. And now your house is looking really good. On the same day, Mercury goes retrograde in Sag. So we had a personal planet going direct, and now we got another personal planet going retrograde. So Sag is going to be in that 5th house of romance. We have a lot of that energy. It's amazing. So that's very good for romance, November for Leo. But Mercury is retrograde. So some kind of misunderstanding with somebody you're dating. And this will only be like a 3.5 week transit, but Mercury is actually going back into your 4th house at some point. So it will go into that home and family sector. But here it could be something to do with somebody that you're dating and there's a misunderstanding. And then the 22nd, the sun goes into that house. So that might help matters to illuminate them and for more positive energy to go into that particular house. This may, if you have a business of your own, Mercury in the 5th house could cause some kind of a mix-up that has to be rectified. And like I said, with the sun there on the 22nd, you're going to, it's almost like, to me, like your solar return in a way, because the sun is going into the house that you rule. So you're going to be feeling like a Leo. And so you're going to be acting like a Leo. And we know how Leos act. They act like they have a pair. And the moon on the same day is in Gemini, which is in the opposite house. So this is featuring, some kind of, I don't know, maybe it's even like having, awareness of a friend and something going on in their life. Maybe this is a friend you haven't been keeping in touch with and you find out that something's wrong with them, or maybe you even find out that they've moved closer to you. Full moon in the 11th can indicate realizing a long-held dream that you've had. So it could bring things to a head, to a culmination. Sometimes it can be like ending a friendship. And then on the 22nd, we have Neptune going direct in Pisces in that 8th house, which is other people's money. So perhaps there's some reason why you have, when Neptune was retrograding, you may have had some situation that you did not want to deal with, kind of similar to what I was talking about with the 12th house. But kind of like, you might have been in denial about something that occurred to you. And Neptune retrograde made you aware of it. And I'm even thinking now of the sun being in the 4th house for most of the month, that this could be connected somehow, where you really come to terms with something that happened to you that you've kind of kept a secret. You haven't really wanted to share with other people, and you make peace with it. And then when Neptune goes direct, you can utilize the positive aspects of Neptune, which involve, one thing could be like really psychic gifts, because the 8th house can be the dead, and Neptune can be like a channel. So for those Leos, and you've had this transit here for years, so you may have noticed that your psychic abilities have been amplified, since probably about 2012 at the latest. And that may have led you in certain directions. So there's a lot of I would say there's a lot of spiritual influences here in November, which is perfect because it is such a, I don't know, because of Scorpio, there's this mysterious aura that I always feel like in November. And because I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, it's also autumn. And it's late autumn. And, the fog and the mists and the overcast days and it's just it's one of my favorite months for many reasons. But I always get these good feelings in November. So I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you'd like a personalized natal chart interpretation, I have 2 versions and I'm linking them below. Have a great November, Leo. Take care. Bye.